Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Citrus Highlights, our new news series for the city of Citrus Heights. I'm Nicole Baxter, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Megan Huber, Economic Development and Communications Manager for the city. Welcome, Megan.
Thanks, Nicole. So excited to be here with our community.
Awesome. Yeah. So this week is Economic Development Week, and we thought no better time to take a step back and kind of explain the basics around the city's work in economic development and all that you do for our community. So to kick us off, I thought maybe you could just start by explaining what economic development is.
Absolutely. Happy Economic Development Week, everyone. Really excited to share all about economic development, what it is, how it happens in our Citrus Heights community, and how you can help. So, at its core, economic development is really about four things. It's about business attraction, business retention, marketing, and startup support. So it's about fostering a community's of businesses to be able to make sure they survive, make sure they grow, hopefully make sure they expand and continue to attract more businesses.
So that sounds like a lot of work. And I know you're pretty much a team of one on the city side. How do you measure success in all those efforts and what you're doing for the community?
Success is really individualized. It depends on the community, but overall, there are a couple of metrics that can really speak to moving the economic development needle. It can look like job creation, being able to attract new businesses, adding new jobs to your community. It can look like wealth creation, adding new well paying jobs, generating economic impact from a government perspective. A good metric is to monitor sales tax generation, property value increases over time. And something that we can't measure, but frankly is one of the most important things, is quality of life in a community. The ability to have thriving businesses, happy residents, the ecosystem that makes up our community is healthy and strong. That's all a part of economic development.
That sounds like a lot. I think to many in the community, economic development, when you think of that, you think of like matchmaking businesses with existing spaces, but it's really more than that. I love that you touched on quality of life, job creation. So moving into specifically our Citrus Heights business community, I know that you geek out a little bit on the stats and makeup of our community. So I think it would be great to tell our listeners like what from your perspective makes up the Citrus Heights business community.
Yes, this is one of my favorite things to talk about. Data is an extremely important part of economic development. And it changes how we understand our community when we do a deep dive and take a look into the numbers. As a community member, I can drive through Citrus Heights and maybe make the assumption that all it's got going on is retail. Retail is a fantastic part of our business community, but it's not the only thing. An example of that is when we look at top employment count by job generation, the medical sector is our number one employment sector. And if you drive around our community looking through that lens, you can really start to recognize everything that's contributing to that. I'm sure our community knows all about the new Dignity Health medical office building there on Greenback, near Sam's Club and City Hall. That was an extremely beneficial project that produced over 220 jobs and was the thing that pushed us over the edge to make the medical sector our top employment sector, and it continues to grow. We have the new USPI Surgery Center coming in on Stock Ranch Road, and more things coming in every day. So that's a fun little nugget just to help illustrate everything that Citrus Heights has going on.
So in addition to the health sector, which was surprising to me, I did feel like we would be retail heavy, but I know that second is also kind of a surprising sector. So walk us through maybe the top three. So
Sure, happy
it's
to.
health, right?
So number one, medical sector and associated services. Number two is government. City Hall is an example of that, Citrus Heights PD. We also host the Small Business Administration District Office, a really large pride point for our Citrus Heights business community as well. So things like that are what come up under that government sector qualification. And then third, which is what everyone knows Citrus Heights for, is the retail sector, which is extremely strong here.
Absolutely. And when I think of retail, first comes to mind our Sunrise Corridor. And I know you wanted to talk about some of our business associations in Citrus Heights. So maybe you can walk us through those groups.
Yes, yes. So for Economic Development Week, it's always important for me as a one-person economic development show for our city to honor and celebrate all of the partnerships that we have in our local business community that really do the work of supporting each other, of amplifying messaging, of continuing to build our business community. And there's no shortage of stakeholders and champions. It's based really on our geography. If you think about it, Citrus Heights has three large commercial corridors. The first is our Sunrise Corridor, which is well represented by our Sunrise Marketplace Business Improvement District, great champions there to support over 400 businesses, including our Sunrise Mall. And then on our Auburn Boulevard Commercial Corridor, we have our Auburn Boulevard Business Association that represents over 200 businesses. And in the Antelope Crossing area, which is there at Antelope and Interstate 80, is our Antelope Crossing Business Association. So really great ways for businesses to connect with each other and support each other. In addition to that, of course, we have our Citrus Heights Chamber of Commerce, at which, quick plug, they are hosting an upcoming drive-in concert on May 22nd. So be sure to visit their website for more details. And also our local leaders. So our city council members are great champions of business. Of course, there's me here in economic development. But more importantly, when it comes to a local community like ours, everyone is an economic developer. We all contribute to the wellness of our business community. And this is a really great week to be able to celebrate and shine a spotlight on that.
It's definitely a team effort. I think of us as tiny but mighty. We do big things with all of our community partners. So if you guys are just joining us, happy Economic Development Week. This edition of Citrus Highlights, we're talking to Megan Huber, who is our local expert economic developer and communications manager for the city of Citrus Heights. We are monitoring the comment section. So if you have questions as we're talking through things today, please feel free to chime in there. I wanted to give a quick shout out to Haley, who's joined us, and everyone who's tuning in right now. Thank you so much for being here. So Megan, you kind of covered a little bit of the makeup of Citrus Heights, our sectors, our business community. So looking at what economic development does, you have such a huge task of attracting businesses. Citrus Heights has done well and we've been resilient through the pandemic, but I would love for you to share what goes into attraction strategy, maybe using the example of the Studio Movie Grill site to kind of give us an illustrated example of the kind of things that go into the work that you do.
Absolutely. Studio Movie Grill vacant site is a wonderful example of existing commercial real estate here in Citrus Heights that has a really compelling value proposition. So we know that the center that it lives in is being renovated. We know that where it sits on Auburn Boulevard will soon have all the benefits of our phase 2 improvements, including complete streets, new traffic light. And we know that it sits in an extremely high traffic area. So I can tell you on a daily basis, over 175,000 cars pass that site on Interstate 80 heading east, huge visibility. And there on Auburn Boulevard, it's over 40,000 cars a day that pass that site. So that is a really important metric when potential users are looking at that site. Currently, that site is zoned for retail uses, entertainment uses, and hospitality uses. So when we're putting together a business attraction strategy that's targeted towards those user types, there are a couple of really important metrics that we need to be aware of and be able to effectively communicate to potential users. And when retail users, for instance, different brands take a look at the site, they're looking at the trade area of that location. So if we drop a pin right on the Studio Movie Grill building and we look at it in a 5-minute, 10-minute, and 15-minute drive time radius, a company will be looking at numbers to be able to quantify that trade area. So within those circles, they'll be looking at the population count, they'll be looking at the median income, they'll be looking at the traffic count, which I just mentioned, and different companies and brands have different minimum requirements for those metrics for that site to be able to make it in their finalist list. So as an economic developer, it's extremely important for me to be knowledgeable in all of that data to be able to build a compelling value proposition. And the fact of the matter is our data doesn't always meet those requirements. And that's where we have to take a step back and say, what can we do to make this site more attractive, right? How do we add additional jobs to be able to increase daytime population here? How do we ensure the infrastructure is offering everything that's needed? Maybe there's a minimum requirement for signage. Economic developers are constantly measuring, assessing, and building compelling business cases. And that's what we'll do for that site to make sure that we get a user in there that benefits our community.
That is so cool. I love seeing like kind of behind the curtain, everything that goes into that. And I know that that's another example of a partnership. You talked about all of those organizations, but you also partner with the landowners and with like the neighboring businesses to attract. So it's really like a full circle, huge project all happening kind of behind the scenes. So it's
Absolutely.
great that we can celebrate
a true definition of a team sport.
Yeah, absolutely. It's exciting to celebrate that kind of work and effort. Like you said, it doesn't always pencil, but I know that it has penciled in some of our exciting sites. So talk to us about the phrase adaptive reuse and maybe give us some examples of how you've made that work for our community.
Certainly. One of the biggest reasons that I chose to work for Citrus Heights in economic development is it has a really unique strategy need in how it compares to the Sacramento region, in that our city is 98% built out. So we don't have the luxury of just throwing up new construction, right, and continuing to build out. We need to give special attention to our existing real estate, and for long vacant buildings, we approach them to see what we can do to make them more relevant, to open them back up again, to incentivize development. And we've had a couple of really cool recent examples. The most recent being the new Green Acres Nursery there on San Juan Boulevard. That was an example of a very long vacant building. I want to say a decade, if I'm not mistaken. Wow. It used to house a Rite Aid pharmacy. And when Green Acres was looking at Citrus Heights, that was one of the locations that they were interested in. And we partnered with them to see what needed to happen to be able to bring the site to a point where it could host a new use. And when they made a commitment to go into that space, internally, we have a development team made up of representatives from all disciplines, including planning, building, public works, PD, external organizations that are needed for development, including Citrus Heights Water District, SMUD, PG&E, and it's essentially a support group, right? To be able to walk beside companies as they are doing development, to be able to make sure we are able to open on timeline, on budget, and capitalize on the work that everyone has done. So Green Acres is just opened. They've already added so much to our community. They've reactivated that corner in a whole new way, happy to report that at peak season, they'll have probably about 40 jobs that they'll be generating full time. Of course, really great economic impact. Anecdotally, the home improvement sector is up about 40%
Wow.
post-COVID. So safe to say Green Acres will stay in demand if my own purchases have anything to do. I will make sure that they stay in business in Citrus Heights. But it's a great story, right, of how we partner together to make stuff happen and bring new exciting uses.
And I know for that particular site, like initially when you drive by it, it's right there by Crunch Gym. I couldn't picture Green Acres in that site, but as it went under construction and came together, I know that your team and the project coordination team really worked very quickly to pull together resources and everything that they needed to do to open that store in springtime. I mean, I know that a lot of hard work went into that. So thank you as a shopper, but also as a community member for making that happen for Citrus Heights. Every time we share news about businesses coming to Citrus Heights, our community is always so excited, but I saw that just tenfold for Green Acres. And such a great example of resiliency. I know we saw adaptive reuse of Toys R Us to Hobby Lobby, but the Green Acres project really came to fruition in the midst of a pandemic, which I'm sure had its challenges, but you guys just did a great job pulling that together.
Again, ultimate team sport.
Absolutely. So I feel like we've gotten to the point in our conversation where everyone's going to start to wonder when we're going to talk about Sunrise Mall. So let's go to the Sunrise Mall specific plan. Give us an update on Sunrise Tomorrow.
Absolutely. Sunrise Tomorrow is on track. Excited to share that our specific plan and environmental impact report is almost complete. And we are actively working with property owners and the development community to be able to bring attention to and attract interest to the site. So all that to say, I'm sure our community will hear so much more over the summer in developments and where we're at in the process. In the meantime, it's a really exciting prospect to be able to continue to work on a project that has such great stakeholdership. I mean, when we talk about team sport, Sunrise Tomorrow is the ultimate team sport where we're pulling together property owners, mall managers, our Sunrise Marketplace, PPID, our Chamber of Commerce, our community at large, who through 2 different community workshops was able to tell us what they're looking for in the site. And all of that data and information was integrated into this plan. In addition, our city council has provided great leadership throughout the process. And of course, staff, including yours truly, are our ultimate champions of the project as well. So it's another really great example of Citrus Heights coming together to steward our own future.
Absolutely. So I know that there's lots of resources out there for those interested in the Sunrise Tomorrow specific plan for the Sunrise Mall site. So we'll drop the link to that project's website in the comments section. But if you're eager, it's sunrisetomorrow.net. And when we talk about the specific plan and what that does for a city, I know that you mentioned unlocking uses, and I know you always talk about densifying and diversifying. So let's talk about a little bit of what the specific plan is going to do for that site. And we have Vicky in the comment section who's asking, why not market for a hotel site? So I feel like maybe you can rope that into summarizing what the specific plan is going to do for the 100-acre mall site.
Yes, absolutely. So specific plan is essentially a full toolbox to incentivize development. So not only is it a vision, where all of the data from our community was incorporated to be able to vision for its future. It's also a set of entitlements. So the specific plan essentially triples the development potential of our 100-acre mall site, and it also unlocks additional uses. So from a zoning perspective, the mall is really only allowed to be a mall right now. And what the specific plan does is add other uses, in fact, maximizes uses to be able to create an ultimate mixed use destination. So if you go to sunrisetomorrow.net, you'll see the illustrative plan, which is a really great visual example of how the plan could actualize. And you'll see it includes a ton of really great uses, including multifamily residential, employment hub, new experiential retail, the stuff that we know will stay relevant post-COVID, right? Food and beverage, entertainment uses, room for, and zoning and entitlements for 2 to 3 hotels, Vicki. And things like neighborhood services that are all integrated around alternative modes of transportation. Picture parking once and walking everywhere, streets for walking, really a new heart within Citrus Heights, creating a new downtown, a 21st century Main Street where folks can find and experience everything, and most importantly, connect, right? That's kind of one of these full circle moments when we think about what Sunrise Mall originally represented to our community was a point of connection. And that's what this plan designs for us, again, a place to connect.
Absolutely, and done so thoughtfully. I know you're speaking so eloquently, as you always do, Megan, to, you know, all the ways the specific plan is going to help our economy, but also our quality of life. And also the thoughtful end of that is, you know, the environmental impact report on traffic, you know, all the different research that goes into a plan like this. I really appreciate that level of like smart planning for the future. And you mentioned COVID and, you know, full circle wanting to get together and connect as soon as and as safely as possible. It's my understanding that the specific plan, when someone goes and looks at that illustrative model, that's going to happen in phases, right? Like we've got a timeline we're working towards and we're on timeline, but maybe speak to that, like what we can expect to see as far as development happening.
Sure, absolutely. My grandma used to say, how do you eat an elephant? Right? And the answer is one bite at a time. So we have to be very conscientious to take this plan in bites. It's essentially divided into 4 phases. And the 4 phases, you know, work really organically with what we know about the mall. What we know about the mall is 75% of it is surplus parking, right? Which means we don't even have to tackle the physical mall to start its transformation process. We have a whole lot of blank canvas in its parking lot. So the first phase is designed to start around the perimeter of the site. So wrapping all the way around with multifamily residential and also utilizing the frontage to be able to activate it in new ways like experiential retail, food and beverage, a brewery or two, who's to say. Phase 2 moves inward. So as you're activating the site more, as you're adding, you know, residential active audiences, more foot traffic, it creates a critical mass to be able to attract those additional uses. So we'll move in toward phase 2, plug and play and program even more, including employment hubs, neighborhood services. And then it moves into phase 3 and 4, which makes room for existing locations like department stores to be reimagined if that time does come. So that's the other guiding principle of this plan is ultimate flexibility. It honors what the mall is right now while still creating a mechanism for it to transform in the future.
That's great and so exciting. I love that you name dropped the heart of Citrus Heights, and I know that's kind of the tagline, Sunrise Tomorrow, reimagining the heart of Citrus Heights. So the community is so excited about this project, and as you mentioned before, I know we'll have more announcements rolling out in the summer as the plan continues, but I feel like that's a great synopsis of the city's efforts around the specific plan and what that will mean and what people can look for at that site. So before we kind of pivot away from Citrus Heights and projects that are happening, I'd love to get your take on, we all know about Sunrise Mall. I mean, if you drive through our city, you know about our retail market, but what are maybe some hidden gems in Citrus Heights from your perspective?
You know, that's maybe one of the funnest parts about economic development in Citrus Heights is there are so many gems hiding, right? And if you're not driving slowly, and if you don't keep your eyes peeled, they're so easy to miss. And a really great example of that is Citrus Heights has a new commercial kitchen. It's named Commercial Kitchen for Rent. It has a really great story behind it. If anyone's familiar with Yala Yala Bakery, owner Alan Ladawi took down the suite next door to the restaurant and created a full suite commercial kitchen. And commercial kitchens are extremely exciting because they really serve as business incubators, right? Like it's a business that births more businesses. Commercial kitchens are great for folks maybe creating new food or beverage products at home and find themselves hitting the limits allowed within the current cottage law. Maybe it's for folks who have a catering business and need a central production and landing place before they go out for deliveries. The sky's the limit on the kinds of businesses that can use this, and it's a very exciting new resource to be able to grow our business community. And again, hidden in plain sight, you guys, they're at Sunrise and Antelope. You wouldn't know it unless it was brought to your attention, and it's a huge asset for us as we're looking to grow our business community.
That's great. Leave it to you to pick a hidden gem that like helps other businesses. That's perfect. So as we wrap up our interview, we've covered a lot. And this will be, if you joined us halfway through, we'll have a recording available on all of our social channels and our YouTube page. We're talking economic development with Megan Huber for Economic Development Week. And Megan, to kind of close this out, if someone's listened in today and now they're educated and they know that they can be an economic developer and represent Citrus Heights, what are some ways they can stay connected and get involved?
Great question. Well, first and foremost, want to remind our community how important it is to love local by shopping local. As a community member myself, I do whatever I can to patron local establishments to make sure I am doing my business and shopping in Citrus Heights. I mentioned my frequency at Green Acres already. Sometimes it's easy to forget how big of an impact we can make just by consciously making that decision to shop within our city limits. It makes sure that we retain jobs here, and it really does ensure neighborhood vitality. We make sure our businesses can stay open and grow, and the corners of our community stay bright and active. So please make sure to love local by shopping local. Past that, we also want to make sure folks stay connected with us here at the city so that we can continue sharing all of the great things happening in our neighborhood. Obviously, folks are probably already following us on Facebook, but we do have a really compelling Instagram channel as well. You can find us there, and also a newsletter that you can sign up for on the city website.
And so Haley commented in and is wondering if you could share how businesses can get involved in the Citrus Heights community. So that was really good messaging and call to action for anyone watching and all of our residents and community members. But specifically for businesses, if someone's new or thinking about coming to Citrus Heights, how could they get connected and maybe find resources?
Absolutely. That's a fantastic question. Thank you, Haley. Want to make sure folks know that I am a welcome wagon for Citrus Heights. If you have any questions about what it's like to do business in Citrus Heights, what it's like to be a business, what our business community looks like, you're welcome to reach out to me directly, mhuber@citrusheights.net. Past that, know that the stakeholders and champions that I mentioned earlier here are always available to help and support our Sunrise Marketplace, Auburn Boulevard Business Association, Antelope Crossing Business Association, Citrus Heights Chamber of Commerce. The list is endless. So know that you can make one call, get connected very quickly, and we'll wrap you right into that community fabric.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Megan. We will be celebrating Economic Development Week through the rest of the week. So if anyone watching has questions, we'll answer those in the comments. You can message us too if you have any questions about projects or questions specifically for Megan. She is available. So I think that concludes our interview for today, Megan. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you everyone who tuned in.
Thank you. Happy Economic Development Week.
Happy Economic Development Week. Bye, guys.